You can be able to see that.
Well, I can see it decently. I'm trying to figure out a way to like zoom in. It's not exactly what I was hoping for, but they'll be able to hear you talk. So, okay, people are trying to log in now. Hi, Suze. Hi, Christine.
Hi, Monica. How are you?
I'm good. So I don't know how great you're going to be able to see the slideshow. I was having a problem with Zoom access. So, but he'll be talking, so you'll be able to hear.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. No. I'm like trying to figure out a way to do it. No.
I can see, yeah, that looks okay.
Sort of see it like that, right? Okay.
Yeah, that'll work.
Stay here for a minute.
Starting to get busy, or we
haven't actually stopped being busy.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, everyone keeps saying, oh, it's so slow, like for my and other inspectors. I'm like, I'm pretty busy.
Yeah, it's not, our office is not slow.
Well, you're driven by buyers and sellers.
Yeah. So I cover the whole Bay Area. So out there in the Bay Area, it's all sellers. The majority are sellers.
That's because they do their disclosures up front out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Unlike us, a lot of times we don't. I know. East County is its own special animal.
Yeah. So I actually have a slide.
Oh, do you?
That I want participation.
Oh, nice.
in
Okay.
for
I love
that
it.
exact question.
That's perfect. Hi, Dwayne. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm gonna have to man this for a second because usually people jump on late and I have to admit them. So silence my phone. Yes, please.
Wait. Take care of my shit, please.
Constant.
Not acceptable. We'll talk about that later.
It's constant.
We'll talk about it for sure.
What did I do now? I heard you, so I did something. Those offers again.
It's so annoying.
Okay, take it away, Shannon.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm Shanen Dawson. I know majority of the people in here. I don't think I've quite met you yet.
And I'm Jeff.
Jeff Shannon.
Pleasure to meet you.
Welcome. We're
Thank
gonna
you for
talk.
coming.
Oh, yeah, of course, of course. Our new logo for the year, we stepped it up a little bit.
I love it.
I think it fits a little better than how we were doing it before, so. We always got to start with something funny, right? Attention getter. So this is one of my favorite home inspector memes. I think this was probably the most accurate, what my wife thinks.
That's funny.
But what I actually do is just drive around everywhere.
That's great.
If you say you cover the whole Bay Area, people take it, they take you up on that offer and
Yeah.
go from San Jose to Pacifica back.
Yeah.
Soon, all the way. So-
I like this one with the knife.
So a pretty good little meme that kind of wraps up what we do. So for the agenda today, we're going to talk about what is it, the scope of the home inspection. A majority of you probably have a good idea, but I'll kind of cover some because not all inspectors do exactly the same thing. And you'll see that the SOP through the two major certification companies. I will have a slide on there. There's different SOPs and stuff.
What's an SOP?
Sorry, standard operating procedure.
That's what I figured, but I wasn't sure.
Acronyms, right?
Yeah.
That military guy.
Yeah.
It just becomes the word, right?
We do it too. We have all kinds. Yeah, we do it too.
And then how to prepare a home for a home inspection. And then our slide that we were kind of talking about earlier, the seller versus buyer's inspection. I just pulled some quick things, pros and cons for a seller one, and then I was hoping to have participation and have your guys' understanding of what it is, and I'll put my 2 cents in there.
Perfect.
Common issues that we run across on a daily basis that are real easy to fix, but coming from a buyer standpoint, all these things start to add up. And then, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then, depending on time, I have a couple slides that I kind of walk through, like a water heater, and I'll show you what I kind of look at and how I do my procedures as I go through and do a water heater, and then a bathroom. Just kind of give you an example of what a home inspector kind of does as he goes through. It's a routine, and we try to stay as routine as possible.
Gotcha.
If we get off our routine and kind of that's it. And then I put together 4 questions that I think are very important to ask a home inspector if you're looking for a new home inspector, or just what I feel that all the answers should be the same, but
they're not
always the same. So,
Yeah.
and then we'll have questions and answers at the end if you have them.
Perfect.
All right. So to start, we got to start with the definition, right? What is the scope of a home inspection or inspection? This is like verbatim from our certification, but in reality, it's a visual inspection of what the house is doing, right? From all our major systems, from roof down to foundation, and then kind of the ages of these things. That's kind of the definition, but some people think that we dig in and we open walls and we do all that. We're just generalists, right? We're not experts. That's why a lot of times you'll see in a report a HVAC system's not working. Could be because of this, but I would have an HVAC guy come in and take a look at it because they're the experts at it. I'm a generalist from roof down to foundation, and I can point out things that don't look right. Let's get the experts in so we have the information that we need to make an educated decision. Because that's what it really comes down to, and providing as much information, as detailed information to allow the home buyer and the agents who are read into the market way more than I am. Here's your information. Let's make an educated decision if this is a house for you or not. All right. So this is kind of what you should get out of every home inspection, right? According to our SOP, our standard operating procedures, through our certification, roof is part of a home inspection. So what I like to say about roof is I like to get up. Let me step back. You'll see in a couple of slides later what California law is for home inspectors, and we'll go over that. But the good thing about a home inspector is we're not allowed to make any other money off of the inspection for 12 months.
Okay.
Most people and
Didn't know that.
most insurance companies, they won't let you do any work.
Like, what do you mean to make any other money off of?
So
You know how they do pest inspections and they give an estimate of repairs.
Yeah.
Home inspectors
Right.
can't do that.
Oh,
right. So when I go to roof, and I think that it's important, is it lets me get up on the roof, take a look at the roof, and then I can kind of do what I would do for an HVAC system is,
Yeah.
hey, you need to have another roofer come, a licensed roofer come and look and kind of give you an estimate of where the money, how much money is going to cost to
Yeah.
fix some of these stuff. Once again, more information
Yeah.
on, the house, right? But I give you that unbiased opinion, not saying roofers are coming in to make money, but they're giving you an estimate so they can come and do the repairs.
Yes,
Right?
of course.
So I always say, let me get up there, let me take a look. And a lot of times I say, yes, you need to have a roofer come take a look at this. Sometimes I don't. But roofers cost anywhere from $100 to $150 to do that inspection and give you that estimate. So it's a good starting point to
Yeah.
start with your home inspection. And then all your major systems, your plumbing, your electrical, all the way down to the structure, your foundation. And then we have the two different types of foundations, right, that we see out here in California, slab on grade, and then post and wood joists and stem walls. Stem
Like
walls are
raised.
concrete
Yeah.
crawl spaces,
Yeah.
right, basically. All right.
I would have to venture guess that you prefer the slab.
Slabs are nice, yes, slabs are nice on a Friday afternoon. But to be honest, as much as the crawl spaces are, very interesting, especially in this rainy weather.
Yeah, you know that.
I think my washing machine is destroyed because that has gone through that. I get a better feel when I'm in a crawl space,
Gotcha.
right? Because I
Yeah.
can see the pipe, I can see the wood structure, I can see the floor joist,
Yes,
I can
gotcha.
see the stem walls, I can get a better understanding of what that foundation is doing, where with a slab on grade, everything's in the cement underneath the house. So what I look at is I got to put the whole house together, right? What's the siding doing? The stucco cracking? Is the drywall cracking? Do I see any cracks on the exterior wall, the slab? Are the windows sticking? Are the doors sticking? So really, it kind of having to, on a slab foundation, I gotta know the house as a whole to really understand what
Yeah,
it's doing,
makes sense.
rather than just being under the house and looking at the foundation. So yes, I do love slabs, but I get more comfortable, just like a roof. When I do roof, I like to get up on the roof, but every once in a while there's tile that's just a little too fragile. That'll
Yeah.
fly a drone.
Oh,
And the
gotcha.
drone does really good pictures, and I can look in the gutters. I can do a fairly good job, but you just don't get quite the same feeling as being up on the roof,
Yeah.
looking at everything.
That's an
So,
awesome option. I didn't know you did drone for that.
yes,
That's
yes.
great.
So I, like I said, I try and get up there as much
Mhm.
as possible, but like yesterday I had to launch a drone. Actually, this week has been pretty drone heavy, so. But the quality of pictures that you get with a drone is amazing nowadays.
Wow, that's
The
cool.
only limitation, and I ran in this the other day in Sassoon,
Let's assume.
I was too close to the airport. I couldn't get on the roof. I couldn't get on the roof because the tile was too fragile.
Yeah,
And I couldn't launch the drone because the drone builds in no launch when you're so close to airport. So that
wow.
would be the
Okay.
only, and then you have to go to just looking at it from a ladder from the eaves. and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah. Attic, we go up in there and then we take a look at all the ventilation and insulation. One of the things that we see is we want to see the venting go up through the roof or outside the exterior. A lot of times we'll see mostly bathroom ventilation that they put in the fan. They run tube and they just run tubes into the attic, which it needs to run up through the roof or it produces moisture in there. So that's what we're looking at when we go up there, making sure that has good insulation, that the venting is good, that the structure of the roof is good. So another part of the roof inspection is the underneath side. Kind of see if there's any leaks or whatnot. Roofers and how they build them nowadays are really good. Very rarely do we see stains coming through new roofs because of how they do the tar paper and the decking and all that. Usually what I see is old stains prior to the roofs being redone. And that's stuff we look up there. Exteriors, all our siding, our flashing. This is where the exterior, the pest and home inspector really kind of, their reports should match up for the most part. They're more, they're better identifying wood, rot, and destroying. I kind of just say, hey, this is your general condition of what I see out there. And I always say, hey, refer to the pest report for the more detailed of what the wood rot,
Yeah,
the siding
yeah.
problems are. They're definitely better than most home inspectors at it, but that's what they're there to do. And that's why it's important to have both home and pest. I always recommend home and pest. One is now you have 4 eyes looking at the house, vice one person that's trying to do both. I will be looking at the foundation and I'll see cracks in foundations or whatnot, and there'll be a termite tube right next to it.
Yeah.
I'm not really looking for a termite tube, but when you're thinking about cracks, it's amazing how you can go right by and the pest guy will be like, you see that termite tube? But like, I didn't even see it. So that's why it's good to have two eyes looking at
Yeah.
stuff. I already talked about that. And then for the cooling and heating, we are just turning on the system. We're making sure the system works correctly throughout the house. What I like to do is I take my temperature gauge and I hit all the ducts, see what kind of temperature they're producing. Because a lot of times in the attics, there's a lot of restriction. If it's not a walk path or a walkway up there like plywood, we're not supposed to walk on the 2x4s to try and get, because we'll potentially fall through the ceiling because I'm
Right.
clumsy. So that allows me to check some of the duct work that I couldn't get to when I was in the attic. Yeah.
How much pressure of that air is coming out, whether heat or cold?
Not pressure, just temperature.
Just temperature.
Right, yeah.
Like
That would be
done with a temperature on it. They take a picture of.
right. That would be the next level. That would be an HVAC guy coming in if they
Yeah.
want to test that. And then same thing with the heating system, go through, always produce, you want to have the serial. I'll take tons of pictures because people have been known to replace appliances after the inspector goes through. So I put all the pictures of the appliances and everything in there. But serial numbers and model numbers as well. Serial numbers usually has the date or does have the date of the manufacturer within it, and then that gives you an age frame of how old the systems are. Fireplaces, visual inspection of the fireplace. Basically, I'm just checking the bricks, make sure they're not broken, make sure there's a damper and the damper works within the fireplace. But with it, I always say, if you're moving into a new house, before you use that chimney, you should probably have a chimney expert come in, because we don't check the flue and how much soot is built up. We're just kind of checking to make sure that it's functional from the standpoint of a visual inspection. So we always need another one to come in to do that.
Remind me about the chimney thing. Well, at the end.
Okay.
I have a story for you.
All right. Plumbing from top to bottom. Like usually my inspection starts out slow with the exterior roof, and then it picks up pretty quick until I get back to plumbing. And then bathrooms and kitchens and stuff start to slow the inspection down. Just a lot of stuff. Water is what I tell everyone at the end of my inspection. I say, when it comes to water, the longer you wait, the more money it's going to cost you.
Mhm.
So it's a very good rule of thumb. And then the electrical system we go through, I pull both the main panel and sub panel doors, and we check all the breaker, make sure the wire and breaker matches up like they should, that they're not double tapped. You guys familiar with double tap, where they'll run out of breaker spaces in your panel. That's my panel. It needs to be replaced itself, but you'll run out breaker spaces for to put new breakers in as you add new appliances and whatnot, and there's no more room, so they'll just run that wire into
I've
another
seen that a lot.
breaker. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
quite common. The good thing is now, before, once you ran out of space in those panels, you would have to replace those whole panel. But now Square D and some of the other breaker companies have made breakers that you can put two systems into.
Oh.
So they're dual tap, they're made to have dual tap breakers in it. So that with that improvement has probably saved quite a bit of money for people not having to replace.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Doors, windows. It says representative amount of doors and windows. For the most part, I follow a representative amount, right? So if it's old 1950 metal windows, I open all of them. If it's a 2019 house vinyl and majority of them slide, I get the gist that they're all going to be working for the most part. I do check for failed seals and cracks and stuff like that. And then the vertical windows, I check every single one of them. The majority of the fails and windows are the vertical windows.
Totally. Yeah.
So I don't do a representative amount of those. I open every single one of those. And I think it's important because the counterbalances, they're just hard to maintain sometimes. All right, qualifications. Do home inspectors in California need to be licensed?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
No.
No, really.
Yeah, all the things in California that they want to regulate, they do not regulate us. So
Like certified and take some kind of test or.
no, I just start and no, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Sign up tomorrow.
Well, yeah, right. I mean, the bad thing for us is once you're kind of got a little bit of market share, the barrier to entry into it is null. It's very small. So we'll kind of talk about this for real quick. So this is what I was talking about. There's no license required in California for home inspectors. All you have to do is be certified by one of those two major companies.
Like Ashy and
Ashy and Internachi
Internachi.
are the two major ones. And with
Certified, like you have to take a test for them.
yes. The next slide, I'll kind of go a little bit more over it, but California does have the ethics code for the home inspectors, and this is what I was talking about earlier. Is you see right here, including the California law prohibits unethical blah blah blah. I cannot do any repairs on that for 12 months on that house. My insurance company says you won't do any repairs even after 12 months.
Yeah.
So that's why I put in here who really regulates home inspectors. Besides our certification, I'll go over next slide, our insurance company. So, and the realtors, right? Of
Yeah.
course, the realtors. But when I got my insurance, I'm covered for over $1 million. And then I'm covered for $50,000 because I do pool inspections as well. They said, let me see your inspection agreement and I want to see 3 reports. So then I turn all that into them and then they go through, their lawyers go through it and they say, change this word, change this word, change this word. You can't use that. And it's just built off experience with there are really trying to keep everyone safe. Realtors who are referring you, us and the client. So everything they kind of adjusted. I'll give you an example. I used to use the word monitor. Monitor is a bad word, right? And it's bad for all the people at the client, realtors and us. The multiple lawsuits that came from that word monitor. So let's say you have a little crack in your foundation and you say, hey, my crack in the foundation, I see this all the time. I recommend that we get it sealed so no more moisture gets in there and the crack gets worse and causes more problems, right? Monitor it to make sure that that it doesn't get any worse. Well, it does get worse. You said monitor. The client said, I'm not a foundation expert.
Exactly.
How am I supposed to monitor this? Because you told me to monitor it, I let it go too far. And now we have issues and stuff like that. So once again, when I say the insurance company, I kind of say that tongue in cheek, but they really want to make sure we keep everyone in the community that's doing business like this together.
So what's the word you use?
What's that?
What's the word you use now?
I say,
If you want someone to monitor a crack in their wall or something.
I don't say monitor, I just say there is a crack in your wall.
Refer to a licensed tradesperson.
Bingo.
Yeah,
Refer to who?
a licensed.
Qualified
tradesperson,
professional
qualified
or
tradesperson,
licensed,
Yeah.
yeah, contractor, or, so I don't leave anything for them to do. They can either take it for what I said. Usually I say, and majority of them are, unless they're not. Hey, these are normal settling cracks that I see. I do not think it's structural, as structural issues with it, normally settling. Recommend further evaluation by calling, qualified professional.
Yeah.
Right, so they have a choice. Just take that for what I just said, or contact someone else and see what they have to say, and they're most likely gonna say the same thing I just said,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Hopefully, but once again, they're the expert, and I never tell anyone not to go see that next level of care. All right. What's that?
No, oh.
All right, qualifications, all right, and we finally got to the slide. All right, so these are the two major certification companies that we use in the United States. Internachi, they're kind of over in Canada, they're in Europe, they're another one. ASHI was the original one, and then there was some disagreements on the way ahead with ASHI, so half of them left and created Internachi, like most companies do, right?
All right.
And then Internachi is really kind of, they have a great training. They have online training, they have a continuing education, all those stuff. So initially I signed up for an ASHI course. It was an in-person course. It was $5,000 to take the course, and they gave you 3 inspections, right? That was it. You're ready to rock and roll. For some reason, they couldn't get enough for the one I was gonna do. So they canceled it on me. Thank goodness, because then I found Internachi. That cost me $500 because I was a Marine veteran.
Oh,
So
nice.
that $500, it cost me $500 a year to keep it. But if you compare the two, they've done a way better job with their education, how they did that. So I think this is about right. I pulled up my transcripts from my original years ago, and it's about 74 hours of education. So you have to take the class. So first class, you take like a roofing class, and then you go through the whole roofing and all the stuff that you need to do. And then there's a written assignment and an inspection that you have to submit to them over roof. And then at the end of the roofing section, you have to take a timed test to pass that section. And then you do that through the whole systems of the house. And then you at the very end, you take a comprehensive 2-hour test to get your certification. So when we say there's no licensing in California, like Texas and some Tennessee and some of those other Florida, they have licensing. They do the exact same thing for their licensing. So they take their Internachi test, get their certification, and then they take a very, very similar test to the one that they already took to get their license within the state. The state ones just add in state regulations on top of the normal stuff that you need to know. So when I say there's no license required in California, you're really doing the exact same thing as those other states are. You're just not getting a license.
I bet that's coming though.
It is. If you looked at that slide, it said not yet.
Yeah. It will come. It's California.
Yeah. So, and then we're required 24 hours of continuing education a year, and we have to take our comprehensive tests every 3 years to keep our certification and pay our $500 every year.
Yeah.
And then, so this is what you'll kind of see for the certification. So this is a badge that you want to look at. And the other thing is they, every section that you pass, you get a badge like this. So some people will have like 1,000 badges on there, you know. I'm an HVAC inspector. I'm a home. That's this is what you're kind of looking for. And ASHI has one very similar to that as well. All right. what to do to prep for a home inspection. All right, so I just pulled this list. If I kind of to narrow it down, we just want to, I need access to all the things I need to look at, right? So I need to, like yesterday, I had to climb over a boat to get to the water heater. I had to empty a whole closet to get to the crawl space.
Oh, no.
And my favorite one is stagers love to put beautiful pictures over sub panels because sub panels are ugly.
Oh,
And
no.
I spent half an hour trying to find the sub panel because someone put a picture over it. So we would just want to get, we want to make sure that we get the areas that need to be inspected. And I understand everyone is stuffing everything they possibly have in their garage, right? Because the stagers coming in or they're
Yeah.
narrowing everything down. As long as I got a little path to get to these areas, I'm fine. And you know, everyone's always like, oh, I'm sorry for the mess. I know you're moving. I know your real estate agent probably told you get all this in the garage or closets and stuff. I get it. I get it. So as long as we can get there. Perimeter, same thing with the siding. A lot of people lean stuff up on the siding. If I see things leaned up on the siding, I'm definitely removing that because usually they're stuck behind what they're leaning against the house.
Yeah, good point.
So we want to keep that clear. House clean, that's self-explanatory. Light bulbs. Just replace all, go around the house, replace all the light bulbs. The furnace
I need to
filter.
do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, myself a note right now.
Yeah, so the furnace filter, I don't make a big deal about it, but what it can affect your operation of your HVAC system. That's why we want to have clean filters in there, because if I go in there, I don't have time to troubleshoot anything. Either works or it doesn't. I do put a little bit extra time because I want it to work. I want to
Yeah.
figure out. But in reality, I should be able to turn it on. If it didn't turn on, I'm off to the next thing to inspect. So that just kind of helps with that, and we don't have to mess around with that too much. Pilot lights. This I see quite a bit, and this is a little bit more of a chore to have all your breakers marked. They should be marked. Your electrician should have marked, but it doesn't always happen that way. It will get a hit on your inspection every time if you have a breaker that's not marked. And then basically what happens is electrician needs to come in and remap your system.
Is that a code thing? That has to be labeled?
It's a safety thing. Yeah, because if you have a electrical issue, you need to be able to go to that breaker and turn it off if you can. If worse comes to worse, you just turn off the main service disconnect. But yes, it is a requirement to be labeled. Check all your windows and doors. Look for water damage and leaks. I get a lot of leaks underneath sinks, and like I just recommend people just go under, take a look under under your sink. There's a lot of stuff that are always stuffed under there. Go under your sink, because leaks are one of those things that get everyone kind of on edge, right? They're just like, oh, we got a leak. What's underneath the cabinet? Do we have bacterial growth? I can't say that M word, but do we have something? So fixing leaks. I'm not allowed to say that N word because I'm not a certified mold inspector. But so we use the word bacterial growth, right? But and to go along with that, if I had to give recommendations, if you've ever had a water leak that you fix, I'm not talking about hiding anything because you'll see that you're not going to be able to do that here in a couple slides, but there'll be old stains on the ceiling, and a lot of talk comes in after you see old stains. If you just fix the stuff, have the disclosure that it's fixed, and paint the ceiling, get that paint to get it, and don't patch paint it, just paint it, and it'll take a lot of issues. That's one of the bigger things I see is when you see that an old stain, it's been fixed, we know it's been fixed, but the stain's still there. People will stare at that stain as they're going through their house. So that's a recommendation. Any pests, make sure we take care of that prior to that. A lot of people don't want to see that. And then be prepared on the day of the inspection. So anyone else have anything to add to this list, you think?
make sure the,
Cats are for that.
yeah,
Huh?
pets.
Pets.
What about home and, what about smoke and carbons?
Smoking carbon. Yeah, if you don't have a carbon monoxide, it'll be a hit, but the appraiser will come in and get it as well. The other one, oh,
Oh, I
sorry.
was gonna say, I'm surprised you don't have, make sure the utilities are on. Because you
Right,
can't
that's
do
good.
any of this other stuff,
Yeah.
if it's a
Right.
vacant house and, or a rental or something.
Power,
You're right, you're right. Absolutely. That should be added to my list and I will.
But we had our appraiser was in
Yeah.
here a couple weeks ago and he said that this is gonna come down heavy. He said that there was a lawsuit because the home inspector, no, it was the general contractor and the home inspector said there was carbon and smokes, that they were combo units. They weren't. There were only smoke detectors.
Mhm.
There was a death on the property because it wasn't carbon monoxide. And then there was a huge lawsuit. So I feel like that's gonna start coming to home inspections too. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
know.
how do you validate that that's what they really are?
No, yeah, my mentor, who I did my internship through, one of the people in their group was being sued for a death of a kid with no carbon monoxide. So that is mine. If I can't see either the symbol or the writing, whether people say, no, that's one or not, it is, I do
But you're
not.
also
mark it.
taking photos, right?
I take photos of everything, yeah,
So
yeah.
that'll help protect you, I
Circumvent
guess.
that,
Yes, yes. No, yeah, I always take photos of everything and yeah. Carbon monoxide definitely is not something that we wanna kind of skip over
No.
for sure.
Yeah.
And then I think the other one is seismic straps on a water heater.
Yes.
That we definitely want to get those on there as well. All right. All right. This is where I want participation from everybody.
All
All
right.
right, sellers versus buyers. I just pulled this. I should have had a footnote here. This is not mine. But I'm not trying to sell it as mine, but these are just some pros and cons I did for a seller's inspection. And then I'm just curious what you guys think about this, and then I'll add kind of what I've seen as well.
I think those are all spot on. Like if for both buyers and sellers. Like sellers are like, oh man, I'm gonna have to disclose that, or I'm gonna have to repair that, or whatever. They don't want to do that.
Right.
It's an extra expense. I like my sellers to do inspections if at all possible, because then they know what they're potentially facing in terms of renegotiations.
Right.
But out here in East County, as you mentioned earlier, it's extremely common over the hill for everyone to do inspections up front. East Contra Costa County, I don't know why we don't really do it. Some people do, but the majority of it is on the buyer. The majority of it.
Right.
At least that's been
Well,
my
I think
experience.
that is, though.
I don't really know.
I
Is
had
it
heard
because
it
we're
was
near the
because of
water?
liability. So if I'm a seller and I pay for an inspection and it's my brother-in-law's company and I'm providing that now, he may not like look the other way about certain things or not disclose it properly within the inspection because I'm paying, right? And if I have some relationship there, I think that's what was explained to me years ago. So if I'm the seller and I'm providing that report and the buyer uses that.
It's
and then
potentially
some
biased report.
Problem
Gotcha.
later,
Okay.
it's because
And they have their
that-
own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're paying for their own, they're choosing their own inspector and that way the liability is like,
And I usually encourage heavily home and pest. Home
As
and
for a
pest.
seller or.
Either buyer or
Yeah,
seller.
yeah, home and pest for sure.
For sure.
yeah. And then
you
I,
know what you're getting, like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna, I can't, I don't know why people buy houses without getting any inspections.
It's
Crazy to
nuts.
me, 'cause you would never buy a car without getting a Carfax report, having a mechanic look at it, but they spend like their life savings for this home and then
They
just-
don't want to spend $1,000. It's insane. They're gonna pay $1 million for the house, but don't want to spend $1,000.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
right.
Uh-huh.
What do you guys think?
With why do you think
Wait,
over
wait.
the hill, like why over here we don't pay?
Yeah, why?
Like right up front as much?
Mhm.
I don't know. I think that's like, I'm not sure why
was
that is.
Local.
It's a local mentality.
yeah,
Like
it's
I
a-
always
yeah,
try and really
it's a
encourage my people
mindset.
to do it.
Yeah.
There was a long time ago that I would say, especially like when we were in like a different market and it wasn't hot like it is now. There was a time where I'd be like, hey, listen, I recommend upfront inspection. It's gonna cost you money. You can put the burden on the buyer. your choice. Do you want to spend, like, if they were really tight on funds, I'd recommend they do it, but maybe they don't want to,
I
you
remember
know?
there was times when sellers would do it. And they would put in a thing, buyer to reimburse seller for disclosure or reports, I mean.
Yeah, so I don't, but I think in California, you have to disclose, once the inspection is done, you have to
Yes.
disclose
Yeah.
that. So other states, they have it where the seller can do the inspection and the buyer can buy the inspection off of them. They don't have to disclose that seller's inspection. But in California, once it's done, it's a disclosure.
It's a material fact of the property.
Yep, exactly,
So
exactly.
my opinion on it is I highly encourage a seller inspection. All those things that we talked about right here. Oh, which way am I going? All those things
Yeah.
we talked, I can do that for you as a home inspector. I can go through and make sure all these are, and then you can fix what you want to and don't fix what you want to, disclose what you want to. Why I say, it, and I encourage it, is one, we really just want to provide the clients this information and allow them to make it. What we do to kind of take some of this cost and stuff out is I do a pay on escrow. So if the seller wants to do the inspection, we can do a pay on escrow. It's $100 fee to pay on escrow, but once again, the money's really never even seen. It just kind of goes when the
Yeah.
escrow goes through.
A
But
lot of companies don't do that, so that's good to know.
yeah, so I'll do a pay on escrow to take away the money portion.
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
it, right.
The worry. Yeah.
And then you can decide what you want to fix. The seller can decide what he wants to fix and not fix, right?
Yeah.
Because now he has all the information, he's disclosed it. And then I try, or I'm very detailed in this as well. So like, if I'm saying, you need to caulk your spout on your faucet in your shower, if I go down to that detail, they know I'm covering the big stuff too as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So they see a good, thorough report. They might not even bring a buyer's inspection on the back side of that, because they're like, well, this guy,
He's
look at
thorough.
what he's
Yeah.
pointing out everything.
It's funny because I've had sellers get offended that the buyer's home inspector is like picking their house apart.
Right.
Like, don't.
That's their job.
He's
Their job.
just picking everything.
Yeah,
Sellers get so like
They
fired up
do.
about.
They've been invested in that kind of house for however.
Things are heading down the road.
I know,
Yeah,
it's
pick
just
it
funny.
apart,
you
please.
get-
People do get upset. I always explain to them up front. I'm like, listen,
Yeah.
their job is to nitpick. I'm like, that's what they're supposed to do. You know, look
Yeah.
at everything.
So I do all my inspections the same, right? Whether it's for a seller or buyer, right? Because it doesn't matter.
It's the same
Right,
inspection.
it's the same inspection,
Yeah.
right? I go through the same checklist no matter what. But if you're doing it as a seller, as an inspector, as a seller, you know there's a potential that a buyer's
Mhm.
inspector might come behind you, right? So you want to make sure that you're dotting your i's and crossing your t's. This is what I'll say on this. And I think is a good point, is the majority of houses that I kind of see fall apart are when the perception of what the buyers are buying changes.
Mhm.
Right, so if you do an inspection for a seller, this is the house.
Yeah.
Nothing that the buyer's inspector is gonna come in is gonna see is gonna change that perception, right? Whereas if you don't know a lot of those things that were wrong with that house, you come in with a buyer inspection, now your perception potentially changes on
Makes
what
sense.
that house
Is
is.
worth, yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I always tell people, and it's a good way to kind of address it to sellers that are like, I don't know. But kind of me leaning people out here towards that
Yeah.
is pay on escrow, and hey, we don't want the perception of what they think they're buying changing. And we have some photos kind of show you
All right.
what that is.
Speeds up the process, because then it's
Right.
like all front.
Yeah, is there
you know,
potentially,
so,
yeah,
you
right.
know, so meeting.
So this is, we don't see too many asphalt shingle houses up in this area, but this is down in Concord. That's in Concord, so I brought it up. This is a common issue I see. This just shows me that the roof is starting to age, right? Or is aging. What happens is the asphalt starts to get, it's not quite as flexible. Starts to harden. Once it hardens, the granulars start to come off of it, and then it gives you these little sheen looking, and that's showing us that that roof is starting to age a little bit. All right, but this is kind of what we see more out here.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Right. So
That's what the blue tops used to look like until they replaced them.
Oh, really?
They were the blue tile, but with like a mossy look over the top of them.
right, so
How do you, is that the easy fix, just to fix the moss?
for the most part, yes, we just need to get someone up there that's a qualified professional that
It's not gonna
to-
crack all the tiles.
Right. The power
Yeah.
washing, right?
Do they
So
have to seal it with something else or just clean it up?
that just, well, when you get to this level,
You will,
now
that's
we're at
different.
a different,
Cause you can
different
see
issue,
where it
right?
meets the paneling on the side.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's already, this is all rotted out through here, right?
Wow.
So this is okay. The one on the right. Yeah, the one on the right is okay, right? You don't want to get people up on your roof as little as possible, right? So we want to just get taken care of before it gets to here. 'Cause
Yeah,
the
totally.
problem with this is that moss works like a sponge. So it'd be like sticking a sponge in between the tiles. So when the rain hits it, it just sucks that water right past all the stuff that's supposed to be protecting it from water
Yeah.
and puts it underneath all these tiles right here.
Yeah.
Right. So we definitely want to get that taken care of. This would be a good place to monitor.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But not that word.
Right. That's why I use that on
Not the word.
purpose, right? But if you see these things as you're walking around, these are potential costs that are gonna add up, right? This is, I just did that house the other day.
Where was that one? Richmond?
No, this one?
Yeah.
The lakes.
Oh.
It's on the north side on the first
I was thinking
level.
some East area.
Yeah. So they didn't, no sun ever got to this area because you got the 2-story here. And then the roof is right behind it. The sun is putting
Gotcha.
right there, so. Yeah. Corrugated piping, have you guys ever seen this before?
Put that
Yes.
in my house.
Not authorized.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
What?
Back in the day.
Yeah, so real easy handyman fix right here because it's flexible and we can just make it as long as we want it to, right? Problem with those are it traps bacteria, and I like to take my flashlight and I'd take my flashlight and put it behind the corrugated piping and take a picture of it, and you see all the bacteria that's
Ew.
trapped in there.
Well, don't do that.
Jeffrey.
That's why you hired me. You want me to do
Exactly.
these things, right?
You see
And
all them fixture
What's like better, what's like
Stain.
what's the best?
Piece.
it should be a PVC,
one straight piece.
solid
Same
PVC.
thing, but
Oh,
solid
with
piece.
it, okay.
So the other good thing now is they do have authorized flexible piping that you can put in there.
Gotcha.
It's a gray piping and it'll have a sticker on it that says authorized for plumbing uses or
Yeah.
something like that. These are not authorized.
Gotcha.
So if you see those and we want to get those replaced.
I'm gonna look it up underneath all my sinks today.
Yeah.
The wrong one.
All right. And you've probably all seen this on reports 1,000 times, loose toilets. So the toilet, as soon as I go into the bathroom, I take my knees around the toilet and I do this. And if it moves, it gets a picture and it gets on a report. Problem is that there's a wax seal underneath that toilet. If we break that, then we have water issues and
Yeah.
water costs us money. So we want to get those things tightened down because they do quite a bit of damage when they leak. Another thing about these is we don't recommend caulking around the toilet, but if you do, because some people do because they need it for the extra support because the screws aren't quite tightening it enough, make sure you leave little gaps in that caulking. So if the toilet does leak, it comes through those little gaps in the caulking.
Oh,
You
yeah.
caulk all the way around it, it'll just stay underneath the toilet and rot out everything underneath that thing.
Learn something new every day.
All right. Just scrape a little section out, you're good. This is what I was talking about. Just, hey, go underneath that when the stagers are done and everything, go around and turn on all the water and check your piping, because I get these all the time and they're pretty easy fixes. And here we go. Nowadays, inspectors have some pretty amazing tools that are handy to us. This is a seller's inspection. Noticed a little bit of paint, it doesn't even really look like much. It looks like maybe some dust or something hit that, right?
Totally.
And then, so I'm like, I don't know. So I shoot it with my thermal camera over here. That blue spot is this right here. That is a water leak.
Oh.
And then I use my moisture meter. You see, it says overload. Drywall can go up to about 20% of moisture in there. So if I put it up against the drywall, we have about 20% play on how much moisture. That is overloaded. So we know we have a water leak. Seller inspection, got it fixed on the market. If I come in as a buyer, this is a bigger issue.
Yeah.
Because now where are we at in the process?
Well, then people start to panic. Oh God, like there was this one little thing that there was the other stuff.
Right.
They do. They start to
Right,
panic.
right. So that's why I saved this one for another reason for seller's inspection. But this is a bigger issue if a buyer's inspector comes and finds this. It just stops everything for the most part for a little bit, unless they're like not screwed. Can I say that one?
Well, I had my phone silenced, but it's connected to my Mac, so.
So yeah, we have thermal cameras now. I don't do a full thermal scan of the house. Some inspectors will charge, $150 fee to do a full scan. I just use it as another tool. As I notice things, I see stains, I do that. That way I can just double check it with my thermal camera and then double test it with my moisture meter, and we have positive effects on it. All right.
Yikes.
Yeah. I think I'm still a little congested from all that rat poop up there, but
Gross.
trees overhanging, we think it's pretty, but those rats, they'll move up those trees over our roofs. They'll drop on that roof, get in the vents, and a lot of heaters or furnaces are in the attics nowadays. They love sitting right on top of there because it's warm in the winter and they just make a
They're
mess.
insidious.
Bigger concern is they get up there and they'll chew those wires that are running throughout the attic and it becomes a fire hazard. So we want to trim all those trees back. And my favorite.
Plants and content.
People love planting plants by their house. Well, as you can read, I know it's quite lengthy, but I put the lengthy one there on purpose. One is it ruins our siding, it draws moisture into our stucco, creates bigger cracks, creates other problems, allows insects to move up through there. Also, when we have beautiful flowers by our foundation, what do we want to do? We want to water them.
Oh, yeah.
So not only are we watering those beautiful flowers, we're watering our foundation. And I've seen more foundation issues because of people putting plants next to their foundation. It's tough, right? We want it to look pretty. We want it to look good. But if you are, just make sure we're 4 to 6 inches away from the siding. Don't you? Got it? All right. And those are almost on every single report.
Oh, yeah, it's every house, yeah. Now I'm thinking about my other house, yes, I need to do that.
All right, some foundation stuff, right? So if you look at the top left-hand corner, did pretty good. That is, I see those cracks all the time. So those are ones that I have zero concern with, but we do need to get moisture. We want to get them sealed so we don't get moisture in them. And you'll see a statement like, see a certified professional and take a look at that.
We got a foundation. I can't see that far. The foundation.
Yeah, this is a stem wall. So the outer perimeter of a crawl space, the concrete stem wall. Up in the top right, that's what we call spalling. Basically what happens is water gets through that concrete. There's rebar in between those. that rebar gets rusted and it pops all that cement off of the foundation. And then this one is a horizontal crack. You can see all this effervescence in there. That's water passing through the foundation. So these are the type of things on the right two pictures that you start to find when people are watering their plants next to their foundation. Yeah, quite a bit. In Discovery Bay, it's pretty standard. I don't make a big deal about the moisture in there unless it's not draining properly, or you start to have some of these foundation issues because of the water. But the majority of them you'll see is just hairline cracks. And what happens is there's a sill plate up there, piece of wood that starts the framing of the house that's on the foundation. Before 1959, they would just put the house on the foundation. They wouldn't bolt it to the foundation. So it's almost like two separate things. But when they drive those bolts in, it creates those little cracks because we're putting a hole in our foundation, but not concerns. If you go under there, you'll see that plumbers and ductwork, they'll cut sections out of the foundation to run piping. It's okay.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we get concerned is when we have V cracks. That means when it's wider up top and then it's narrow in the bottom, that means we're having pressure coming up through somewhere that's eventually gonna push that house apart. Yeah, so just know the difference between the cracks. And if the inspector says, hey, we got minor hairline cracks, just know that, hey, it's okay. Concrete does crack. Stucco, cracking, I see that quite a bit. Remember the house is framed with wood moves. Stucco doesn't quite move, drywall doesn't quite move. Once again, when we were talking about slab on grade, this is how I see it. All right, are these cracks matching up with cracks inside? Is that window or door in this area having issues? Now we have potential foundation issues. If there's cracks here but not inside, this and that, just normal settling cracks.
Yeah.
I was going to walk you through kind of how I go through this, but we got 5 minutes left. So I'm going to go through this. Basically, I just work from top down, and then I check, make sure that the ceiling got its plate, so fire break, that you have an angle. Your venting up there should go at you need 1/4 of an inch raise for every 12 inches. So you have to have some kind of vertical. Then there's plastic pieces, and I check the straps, and I check these valves, and I just move my way down. And then I was going to do, and this was like filler time in case I talked too fast. So this is just how I would go through a bathroom. Okay, we'll have a little bit of fun before we leave. What is that top left picture? Why do they put the plugs upside down like that?
This is for a switch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Spit it out, girl. Spit it out.
Exactly. So if you see those in a room, that's where you plug your lamp into.
Yeah.
That's what lights into the switch. What about the top right picture?
Can't see it.
It's a piece of piping that's hanging down off the gas
It's
line.
not supposed to be brass, copper or something like that, or just the opposite.
Your sprinkler.
No.
It's on a furnace.
It's off
is
the
it?
gas.
It's on a furnace, but you'll see them on water heaters as
It's
well.
just stubbed
different
off.
kind of gas.
or-
It is a pipe. It's usually galvanized steel or black iron because that's what they use for gas. What it is what we call sediment trap. And it works like a gold pan. So as minerals come in through the city, it catches those into that pipe and it doesn't go into your appliances, and it helps with the life
Can
expectancy.
change that, clear that out every couple of years or something?
Yeah, they'll come in and clean it out. I don't know what the time frame is on cleaning those out. And this one is actually done right. Most of them I see are done wrong.
What is it called again?
A sediment trap.
Okay.
So basically we want the gas to shoot it straight into the pipe and then have the offshoot into your appliances. How they do it most of the time is they have it coming in and the pipe is down, and if you shoot straight across, it goes in your appliance. So it doesn't work because it'll shoot it right past that pipe.
Oh, gotcha.
Yep. All right. These are called hammer heads or water hammers. They help with two things. They help with knocking of your pipes. And it helps with if you ever have to turn off your water, make sure that you turn on a faucet somewhere. Because when you shut that thing off, it creates so much pressure for turning it off or on. You want to make it have it on. So if you don't have anything open, you don't have a spigot open and you turn that water back on, it'll blow out your lines. So if you forget, these type of things will help that little bit of pressure escape into this little gap in here in your piping. And then these right here, little plastic pieces on top of your water heater, those are meant to melt when you get in a backdraft. CO2 is coming back into your house from the venting. So if you ever see melted plastic pieces on top of a water heater, that means we have a backdraft problem.
Ooh, alert, yeah. Very
So that's
good.
why this one, sometimes you'll see it on the hot water side will be melted and the cold water side won't. That's just because the pipe got a little too hot and it melted.
Oh,
So
okay.
just to be aware, but if we see melted, that means we have a backdraft problem. And I know we're running out of time. These are the questions I would ask a home inspector. And they should all.
Look at that hottie, we know her.
Yeah. I figured I'd end with that.
Holly.
Only one agent has ever asked me if I had insurance. I'm
Interesting.
really surprised by that, but
I would assume you would. I wouldn't ask.
yeah, I assume. Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah, but remember I said the barrier to entry into this is minimal, right?
Yeah.
So that's one question I asked. Roofs, we already kind of talked about why I think that's important. How long do your inspections take, right? So me, a slab, 2,500 square feet takes me about 2 hours to get through. If it's a crawl, it's about 2.5 hours. And as it gets bigger and you have 2 ACs and 2 furnaces, I could be there for 3.5 hours sometimes. So
Gotcha.
that's how long it takes to get through
Yeah,
this
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Totally.
If your inspector's moving a little bit faster, right? And I'm not saying they're out here, I'm just saying this is for in general. And the majority of inspectors I know all do great work out here. But that kind of will give you an indication of where they're at. And then do you like your clients there to be at the inspection? That'll kind of tell you as well. I think it's very important and I know it doesn't always happen and it can't always happen, but I prefer clients to be there.
Me too.
That way I can go over the whole report with them. And then when they receive that 80-page report the next morning, it's not this huge, scary thing. It's just documentation of everything we've kind of gone through and talked about.
Yeah.
Always have questions. so
Yeah,
it kinda
exactly.
saves
Perfect.
you
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. And then I think that is it. If you guys had any questions for me.
I just wanted to share a story about the
Yeah.
chimney. So I bought my condo in the Blue Tops in Discovery Bay and it had been a rental for several years. And I think I was under the impression that it had been inspected at some point. So I buy the house, I don't do an inspection, don't give a whole lot of thought to it. I come home one day and my roommate and her boyfriend are there and they did log fire because they told us not to use Duraflame because that's really bad or whatever. And I open my garage door and smoke is billowing out of the house. The damper
It was close.
closed. It wasn't closed, it fell closed.
Oh.
Wouldn't stay open. So it just so the ceiling, the wall,
Oh my gosh.
fucking everything was a disaster. And then you don't realize you have cobwebs until they turn black.
Mhm.
Crazy. I was like, where did those come from? Anyway, so just trying to get those down. Then I had to repaint a wall and the ceiling and it was a nightmare. So I called Grady High. He's great. He does chimney inspections. They came out, they cleaned it, they fixed it. But yeah, the little thing just
Right.
the little the coil came, just was old and it just fell apart and
Right.
couldn't keep it open. Spring, I guess it's a spring technically. But yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, what a nightmare that was. That was not fun.
And that's why in the reports I say, hey, before you use this thing, I don't know what has been done or not done, get it swept in and then go from there. So,
I also
yeah.
had a client that moved in and I told them to get a chimney inspection. And the home inspector told them to get a chimney inspection. They decided not to do it. And 2 weeks after they moved in, it caught fire.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I've had clients, same thing, that London and do
Yeah, it's,
Sure.
you just gotta do it.
walls and everything.
Gotta do it.
Walls.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, crazy.
Thought I did though.
Any other questions? Thank you for, I love talking about this stuff. Everyone-
Any questions, Christine? You're muted.
No questions from me. This was really good. Thank you.
Super informative.
Glad you showed up.
She's been on here the whole time. All right, lady, I'm gonna sign off. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Take some.